What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Talking Philly Sports with MattyB program here on the Edge of Philly Sports with your boy MattyB on the call. Your hour of positivity, your hour of power, your hour of realism has arrived yet again. It is Monday. It is 8 p.m.-ish, and me and you are back together, and it is once again my privilege, ultimate privilege, to be part of your leadoff of your Philadelphia Sports Week. And yes. I think one of these times I'm going to come on this show and say, you know what, we got nothing to talk about. And then I'm going to go off the air in about 5 minutes. But that's not tonight because, as always, we have a lot to talk about. We have a smoking hot baseball team right now that just completed a 4-game series sweep over the San Francisco Giants. They are now 26-11. Off to their best start probably in the modern era. They are playing and hitting on all cylinders. There is Phillies fever running rampant in Philadelphia in early May. It is a great time to be a Phillies fan, and I guess a couple of days ago they received the trophy for winning April. Has anybody seen it yet? Is it nice? Is it big? Is it like the Commissioner's Trophy? Or is it nothing to be talked about? You know? So that's my point. It is great to get motivated and to get hyped about the Philadelphia Phillies, but it is early May. There is literally a kabloogle of games left, and a lot can happen. So we're going to talk a little bit about where I see the Phillies today and where I may see them tomorrow as well. We're going to get into some Flyers talk as we're getting closer and closer to the NHL draft. Yeah, I know the NHL playoffs are ongoing, but you know what? I make it a policy it's a policy, right? My policy is that the Flyers are not in the playoffs. I don't watch it. I won't watch a damn bit of it. If they are in the playoffs, then I'll end up watching the entire thing, regardless of how far the Flyers go in it. But the Flyers have not made the playoffs since I was in my 20s. So I haven't really been watching much playoff hockey. But we got the NHL draft coming up. We're going to talk a little bit more about what the Flyers' plans are this offseason and what their plans may be in the draft tomorrow night. A huge night in the NHL. We'll tell you about that. We got some, you know what? And if there's time permitting, I'm going to talk Sixers because I think it's pretty interesting what has happened with our basketball team as they have taken a very early exit out of the playoffs yet again. And all this misdirected, I think, venom. Actually, I really do. But so we're going to get into all that too tonight. That's right, Sixers, man. You're watching historical show. I haven't talked like substantial Sixers on this program. I don't think I ever have. Ever have I sat down and wasted or spent, I don't want to say wasted, but spent substantial time talking about the Philadelphia 76ers. But I may actually get into that tonight. But we'll see how that all shakes out. But before we get going, let's remind everybody at home that this show is brought to you in part by the good folks over at the Cherry Law Group. Dave Cherry, Esquire, at 610-565-0300 for all your workman compensation, motor vehicle accidents, personal injury, and criminal needs. Give Dave a holler at 610-565-0300 or reach out to him via the internet at www.cherryinjurylaw.com, and he'll do this very, very, very best to make sure that everything is taken care of for you in those realm of workman's compensation, personal injury, and criminal law. So head over there if that applies to you. So let's see what the old chat thing is going on. Hey, checking in about them Phillies sweeping the Giants. Absolutely, Brad. I hope you checked out the Fighting's Final, which was on about an hour ago. Our boy Sal took it all the way tonight, kind of recapping that game. Just an amazing. It's been really good watching this. I'm not going to. So you guys might think I'm going to be negative about the Phillies tonight. I'm not. I'm not going to be negative. I'm going to be real about it. It's great. The fortunes have turned in our direction. We are off to that mythical unicorn magic, good start that apparently has eluded this team forever. We've won 5 games so far in the month of May. That is literally the half of the total of the entire month of May last year. We're in first place in the NL East if anybody's paying attention to the standings in early May. And all is right in the world, even though around the Phillies, things are not looking too good with the injuries and some issues with some players in the minor leagues we're going to get into a little bit as well. And I just kind of want to not bring people down. I'm not trying to do that. I want to just kind of be real about things. But no, it's been a great brand of baseball that the Phillies have been playing, as of lately. 6-game winning streak now. MattyB howls it. Complete game today by the Phillies. Complete, absolutely. Everybody hit, right? Everybody hit. Even Nick Castellanos had a hit, or a couple of hits, actually. So, absolutely good to see Zach Wheeler was Zach Wheeler, and the Phillies did what they had to do. So, no, Mike, absolutely. Complete game today by the Phillies with the win. Question for you. Did you think about the NFL draft and the Eagles draft picks? Yes, you didn't watch the show. Brad, last week I had Kyle Quinn on. Kyle Quinn and me do a side show here on the network called the Birds Blast every football season, every week during the football season. And me and him broke down the draft picks and gave our 2 cents worth. And actually, I came out on a different type of, you might think that I might have came out on the negative side. I did not. I came out on the real side. I think that the positions were addressed that needed to be addressed. And I also thought that it was adequate, really adequate, the way how we kind of replenished some draft picks for 2025. I think heading into the 24 draft, the Eagles had 5 picks for 25, and now we have 8 or 9. So that's always a good thing. But really, it comes down to how these players are going to work out and if they're going to work out or not. And history is telling us something different about that for the Eagles. It hasn't not necessarily been sunshine and roses for players working out, because every April we do the same dance. It's, oh, Howie's won the draft. What the hell does that mean, he won the draft? I mean, does that make any sense to anybody? You can't evaluate a draft for at least 3 years. And right now, if you look back 3 years ago, and you look like 2 years ago, then last year, Howie's draft is still, the verdict is still out. There's like 18 players that I can count on my fingers and toes that Howie has drafted over the last 3 years that we don't really still know yet. And that's concerning. That's 18 players on the roster, almost over a quarter of the roster, of players that close to half the roster of players that we don't really know about yet. So I thought that Howie addressed what he had to do. I thought he addressed the positions that he had to address. Didn't address linebacker until the 5th round. We'll see how that works out. But again, it comes down to how the players work. So that, unfortunately, is something we have to wait for. It doesn't happen overnight. But yeah, I mean, on paper, it looked like he did. But then again, they don't play this game on paper. They don't play any games on paper. They play them on the field in between the tackles. So we'll see. We'll see how that works out. Your thoughts on the Phillies lineup we have right now? Brad, interesting question indeed. With the injury to Trey Turner, the move to move JT up into the 2-hole, not feeling that at all. And I don't really understand why that is. Just not really feeling that. I don't like JT in the 2-hole. I like Harper in 3. Alec Bohm, you're never going to sell me Alec Bohm as a cleanup hitter. And then after that, it's a crapshoot. It really is. Brandon Marsh really is the best hitter to put in 5. And then after that, it's just a bunch of like, who's going to step up and who can do things. That's a little concerning too. The lack of kind of depth in that lineup when it comes to protection of players behind you. And I know that Harper right now is being protected by Alec Bohm right now, but we'll see how that works out. Is Kyle Schwarber being protected by JT Realmuto? I don't really know if that's the case, but it's not balanced to me. It's not a balanced lineup, but it really doesn't really freaking matter if it's balanced or not. If they're getting the hits, if they're winning the games, it's really all that matters. But it's not my dream lineup. It's not my MLB The Show lineup. Of course, it's not that, but it's the best they can do at this particular moment in time. Star Wars says Phillies are on fire. Yeah, red hot, man. Like the sun hot. That's how hot they are. So since the NHL draft is coming up, what do you think the Flyers will need? What do I think the Flyers will need? Does anybody else out there want to help me out with this? Is it that much of a mystery what the Flyers need? They need a damn number 1 center. Big time number 1 center. And we'll get into this a little bit later on in the show, but we need some scorers. Until Mitchkoff can get here and get proven, we need some scores. And based on what Danny B said in his press conference last week to close out the season, we're going to be going homegrown again, and potentially some trades. I don't know, but we need a 1 center, a number 1 C, not a captain, a number 1 center, a guy in the middle, a scorer, face of the franchise, all the above. I think we're good on the wings. I think our defensive depth and youth is okay. I think if they can address any issues in defense through free agency with some of those lower level, like type B or C free agents. I'm not necessarily looking to draft any defensemen this year. It's got to be, for me, all about the centers. It really is. And the Flyers tomorrow, and again, you're stealing my thunder here, man. I gotta stretch this thing out for an hour. So I'll get into more of in detail what I think, but it's got to be a center, and it's got to be the guy. It's got to be that top line centerman. And I don't know if the Flyers are going to find him in the draft. I really don't. I don't know. We'll see. But that's definitely what I think the Flyers need is centers. I mean, I would draft. Flyers have what, 17? Was it? They've 8 picks, 9 picks. I draft all centers. I don't need any goalies. We're good there. We have a bunch of young, 7 of them in the system. Again, I love our young defensive depth and our young defensive prospects. Not looking really to draft a defenseman. As I said, we can address defensive issues in free agency. It's got to be a centerman. It's got to be a centerman. Absolutely. Love that we were on fire, but I have seen way too many comments about the schedule. I don't recall teams getting to make their own schedule. Everyone plays everyone, doing what good teams should right now. Zach, I 100% agree with you. And I'm gonna one up you too. Here's the thing. In April and May, there really aren't any bottom feeders in this league. Everybody still feels, maybe that's starting to wear off for some teams right now, but in April especially, everybody still feels that they have a shot at winning the World Series, and everyone's going to give you their best. Everyone's healthy for the most part. Everyone's fresh, and everyone is thinking that they are the next World Series champion. So to sit here and say that the Phillies have played a powder puff schedule is really uncomparable to anything right now. Talk to me in late July and August. If we had this kind of same deal in late July and August and the teams kind of settled in where we think they're going to settle in, then maybe, yeah. But, and as you mentioned, the Phillies don't set their own schedule, and the Major League Baseball does. And unfortunately, or fortunately, whatever, however you come out on this, the Phillies are handling their business. And again, one up that. If the Phillies weren't winning these games and beating these so-called bottom feeder teams or these powder puff teams, the city would be ablaze. I mean, we'd be trying to run everybody out of town. You know, pitchforks and torches at Citizen Bank Park. So you can't have your cake and you can't eat it too. They can play who's in front of them and they can win who's in front of them. That's all they can do. They don't set the schedule. And I don't really care. Honestly, everybody, as I said, in April really kind of still feels that they're relatively in this thing. So yeah. Zach says also hello. Hey, Zach, how are you? Listen, I'm going to let the comments build back up again, and let's move on let's get back into the show. Every week on this program at this time, I do a little segment called Your Day in Philadelphia Sports History, and where I take a oblivious fact, or what's the word I'm looking for? Obscure fact, potentially an important fact, whatever this day is in Philadelphia sports history. It could be boxing, it could be horse racing, it could be midget tossing, it could be anything. And we kind of talk about it, but this day in Philly sports history, let's move on to this part here. I gotta do this right or I'm gonna get in trouble again. Today's day in Philadelphia sports history is brought to you by Sherry's Tickets. That's right, Sherry's Ticket Town for great prices, no hidden fees, sports, concerts, theater tickets, www.sherrystickets.com. Family owned and operated since 1946. You won't get bamboozled at checkout. So head over to Sherry's Tickets now for the best. I mean the best in sports, concerts, and theater tickets. Save 10% at checkout when you enter the promo code EOP10. And that leads us now to our day in Philadelphia sports history. We go all the way back to this day in 1976. 1976, and it's a Flyers-related moment. On this day, Reggie Leach scored 5 goals in one game against the Boston Bruins in a 6-3 win in a Eastern Conference semifinal game that basically took the Flyers through that conference or through that series. The Flyers would eventually move on into the Stanley Cup Finals before falling to the Montreal Canadiens as the Flyers were going for a three-peat, which they did not achieve. But Reggie Leach ended up winning the Conn Smythe that year, which is the most valuable player in the playoffs. The first at that time Flyer to win the award for a losing effort. Ron Hextall won it again for the Flyers in 1988. and he won the Conn Smythe for the Flyers in a losing effort when the Flyers fell to the Edmonton Oilers. But Reggie Leach, 5 goals on this day against the Boston Bruins, helping the Flyers to a 6-3 win, eventually leading the Flyers all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals before falling to the Montreal Canadiens and winning the Conn Smythe. So there you have it. Your day in Philadelphia sports history. Brought to you by Sherry's Steakhouse Town. That's right. All right, so let's move on into some of the meat and bones of our topics tonight. Let's get into the Philadelphia Phillies. As I mentioned today, sweeping out the San Francisco Giants by a final, I believe it was 6-1. Zach Wheeler went 7+, 11 strikeouts. The offense was powered by Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber, both hitting home runs. And all is right in the world. Even though the Phillies are dealing with, on the back end of this, potentially a very, 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 very serious situation with Trey Turner, losing him over the weekend, for which was initially reported as he was put on the 10-day IL, but then reports circulated right after that he was probably going to miss about 6 weeks, and it's been confirmed from Trey Turner that he will miss 6 weeks. So there's a hole right there in the center of the diamond in the shortstop position. Not that that Trey was setting the world ablaze defensively, but he sure as hell was setting it ablaze offensively. He was out to an outstanding start. He was the Trey Turner we signed. He was that guy, at least on the offense. Still having some defensive problems, which I really can't wrap my head around. But now he's going to be down. And now the Phillies have brought up Cody Clemens to replace his spot on the roster. They moved Bryson Stott over to shortstop today. He did have an error, but he did have an awesome play earlier in the game, too. Hasn't played shortstop since Game 6 of the 2022 World Series. So it does make this team a little thinner, right? It does make this team a little thinner. I know there's some Cody Clemens people out there that are banging the drum for his kid to get a shot in the major leagues, and I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve it, but I don't know, man. I'm not really – if obviously that's not the rotation we want to pin our hopes and dreams on, as Cody Clemens and Bryson Stott at shortstop. Bryson's had his offensive struggles this year. Cody Clemens is unproven at best. So right now that hole could be more potent on offense, right, as we kind of try to deal with the absence of Trey Turner. And then Alec Boehm, who on the other night in that sloppy mess of a game on Saturday, swung and missed the ball, slipped a little bit in the mud, kind of tweaked his hip a little bit, and has been dealing with, as he's called it, hip soreness. It has not landed him on any IL, and he's kind of played through it. But those types of injuries, man, those are the injuries that don't go away for a while, right? They stay with you for a while. And I'm not saying he's going to do any more damage to it, but it could limit him. I think that Alec Boehm needs a day off here soon, just based off of, he hasn't really had much time off this season. I don't think he has. Has he had a day? Maybe one? So there's some concerns there, right? And then, of course, Nick Castellanos, who had a very good day today, has relatively not had a very good season. And offensively, he's been struggling. So there's some concerns there. So as the Phillies have done outstanding to get off to this start and outstanding to be in the position that they're in right now, it is May. It's not like we're going into the All-Star break or we're coming out into the playoffs. No, we're early in this thing, and as quickly as this has gone right, it can go wrong like that. And again, I'm not wishing that. I'm not saying that it's going to happen. I'm just telling people out there, temperance is the virtue here. I remember in '93, I was 20, and I remember that team came out of absolutely nowhere. There was nothing that team was supposed to do, and they came out. They swept the Astros in this first series, took 2 out of 3 from the Cubs in their home opener series, the next one, and they were off and running. I think they were 17-5 in April. Phillies were 19-9 this year. And then they were off and running throughout the rest of the season. And everybody kept waiting for the other shoe to fall, and it never did. And then, we ran it all the way to Game 6 and touch 'em all, Joe, and all that. But I remember that season feeling kind of the similar way that I feel now. It's like every day you're reveling in this great start, but every day you think the specter of death is around the corner. And the Phillies are going to have to do what they can do to kind of try to stave off that. Ty Walker, who was back in the rotation, Spencer Turnbull's now in the bullpen. We're back to that traditional 5-person rotation, but the rotation is a little wonked up right now because now Wheeler is going to be followed up by Chris Sanchez tomorrow. That's not what I signed on for. I don't kind of like that, but we'll kind of play through that, I guess. I'm a big fan of just consistency when it comes to that. It should be Wheeler, Nola, Suarez, Walker, Sanchez. That's what I think it should be. Or actually, I think it should be Wheeler, Nola, Suarez, Walker, and Turnbull. But anyway, the wonkiness of the rotation is what it is. I guess it's something that they could correct at the All-Star break. But we're going to run this 5, see how that works out. It's worked out up to this point. Chris Sanchez has been probably the most inconsistent of our starters, but he's pitched okay. Taijuan Walker is the great wild card here. He's had 2 decent starts and earned his way back into the rotation. We'll see how that works out. So starting pitching wise, this team looks a little, okay. The bullpen is that other thing that I really feel that we're going to have to eventually address. If we're going to make a serious World Series run, we got to get some more help out there. And I think, honestly, if you're asking me about the bullpen, we do need help. And I think that what might come down to be the undoing, if there is an undoing to this bullpen, is the fact that we don't have roles. I honestly believe that might be the undoing of this Phillies bullpen this year, is that nobody knows what they are. Nobody knows who the closer is. It's closer by committee. It's bullpen by committee. And I honestly think that's going to lead us into some issues, man. I really do. And I know Rob Thompson and his loyalty and his stubbornness doesn't like to change, but boy, I just have a feeling that's going to be a problem. I really do. Kyle Schwarber has 9 home runs. He does. He hit one today, and that's really good for him. Touch him off. Yeah, that was a bad one. I remember that night like it was yesterday. Wait, you think we get our hearts broken in the World Series? That's a Philly ending. Wait, you think we get our hearts broken in the... I never said that we're going to get our hearts broken in the World Series. I just said that I think that if there was any undoing to this, it might be the bullpen. I think that we're going to have to go out and try to get reinforcements for it. And then I think there's some defined roles that has to come up. I don't like this bullpen by committee. I never did. I never really liked it. But all in all, how else can you feel about this team right now? How else can you feel the way they're playing and the way they're winning and the way they're just, it seems that it's all fallen into place for them. Is anybody out there nervous about the fact that it's all falling into place in April and May? Are we a little, because this is like uncharted grounds for the Phillies and Phillies fans, right? This has never happened. Not for a long time, right? Are you more attuned to the June it's hitting season for that push that we've done over the last 2 years? Or are you guys worried that this might be June and then all of a sudden in June and July we're going to fall apart? Do you think the Phillies can keep this pace up? Was it a 120 win season right now if they were to continue at this pace? Huh? I mean, can they keep it up? I mean, how do you guys feel about that? I would prefer the Phillies to play consistent and then turn it on later in the summer. I just feel that there's too much room here for error and too much room for a fall apart. But if you want to be in the NL East conversation, which of course the Phillies want to be in this year, you had to start the season off like this because obviously playing catch up is just not working out for the Phillies, and it hasn't worked out for the last couple seasons. So, yeah. Is there a bullpen additional closer name or names that we would trade for? There's a few names out there. The guy out of Bednard out of Pittsburgh has been rumored the last couple of years that I thought he would always. I thought 2 years ago we should have went out and gotten him. The problem's going to be closer-wise. I don't know if they're going to be able to adequately address closer in season. That's the thing you do in the offseason. That's something you concentrate on in the offseason. I don't know if they're going to be able to adequately address the bullpen and the closer question in season unless they're waiting to pick the scraps off of the teams that will fall apart by the All-Star break and see where we're at with those teams. To speculate on who's going to be available, it's somewhat foolish because we don't know who was going to be available because we don't know who's going to fall out of this thing. But the guy out of Pittsburgh, Bednar, I've always liked him. I thought 2 years ago the Phillies should have been aggressive with him. But, other than that, I'd have to wait and kind of see. There's a couple teams out there. The White Sox have a couple of decent young bullpen arms. Hell, I know you guys ain't going to like this name. Craig Kimbrell might be available if he doesn't, make it through Baltimore. I mean, why not? He's another arm. So, yeah, I just kind of would have to wait and see this thing kind of, like, pan out a little bit. But that guy out of Pittsburgh has always been, like, sort of top of my list for a couple of years now. The Phillies can make a move for him. I think we do have a closer here. I really do. It's just a matter of letting that guy be the closer. And, I don't know. I think Alvarado can do it. I really do. If he told Alvarado, you're the closer, we're going to use you in the ninth inning, and that's it. It's a mindset. And you can go up there and throw and rear back, throw 100 miles an hour, about 7-8 pitches an inning, and then we got it. So, I don't know. I don't know if we necessarily need a closer or if we just need another like setup guy or long or short reliever, that kind of guy. But we're going to have to wait and kind of see how this thing works itself out. But yeah, Kimbrell is Tobias Harris. Absolutely. That's a very good comp, Marshawn. I like that. Craig Kimbrell is Tobias Harris. Very good. All right, so let's take a look now inside the numbers a little bit, because that's what I like to do. Now, this was going into gameplay tonight. I didn't do this yet for tonight's game. But heading into the game tonight, the Phillies in 35 games. And again, I have not updated this after tonight. They've committed 23 errors as a team through 35 games. That, to me, is a gaudy number that needs to change. And I know they had another error tonight. So that's part of the game that I would not really needs to change. And it seems to be coming from like really one area of the field, and that's shortstop. So I believe Trey Turner, when he went down, he had 5 errors. That needs to be cleaned up. 23 errors through 35 games is too much. And that's something that I think Rob Thompson definitely needs to look into as we move forward into this season. The Phillies have also stolen 41 bases through 31 games. They're averaging a stolen base a game. I love that. I absolutely love it. And I had the fight in final a couple of nights ago when Turner turned that wild pitch into a 2 stolen base affair, and was able to get home. I know it cost him. It came at the cost of the injury, but I love the aggressiveness. And if I got to say one positive thing about Rob Thompson was that since he's been the manager, it's almost like since day one back in 22, the Phillies have taken on a whole new attitude when it comes to the way they run the bases. Now, it's also cost them, and it seems to cost them at 2 different times of the year, early season and the postseason. And they seem to get kind of kooky on the bases, and they get picked off, or they make base running mistakes. But I'll take that. I've told people this all, and I'll say it again. I'll take the aggressive base running over anything else that on this team, because I love it. I think it makes for great baseball. Of course, they've hit 42 home runs. I believe it leads the league. They bashed 2 more today. The Phillies as a team have struck out 333 batters in 35 games. That's over 9 a game. That's 9.5 a game. They're close to 10. They're averaging, and I know Wheeler, the 11 strikeouts that Wheeler had today, and the Phillies as a staff today had 13. So you add 13 to that number, and you're looking at you're closing in on really 10 strikeouts a game, which is amazing. That their starting pitching and bullpen is striking out people like that. The Phillies as a team, though, have struck out 306 times, which is close to 9 a game, and that's right around their season average. They were doing really good for a stretch of games, and then that thing ballooned back up. I believe they went like 5 or 4 games where they had multiple strikeouts per game. They got to continue to work on that. They really do. For the walks, Phillies pitchers have only walked 103 batters, which is less than 3 a game. And as a team, the Phillies have walked 132 times, which is close to 4 times a game. So it's showing some plate discipline. It's showing that they're working counts. It's showing that they're being patient at the plate. For the hits, the Phillies have bashed out 265 hits so far this year, almost 8 a game. I'll take that any day. But they've given up 293 hits, over 8 a game. That's an interesting contrasting stat. And then my absolute favorite baseball stat to talk about when it comes to the Phillies is my runners in scoring position batting average. Heading into today's game, not counting today, The Phillies were 82 for 286 for a 286 batting average. I have never written 286 down on a Phillies batting average when it came to runners in scoring position. This stat blows my friggin' mind. And if there's one thing that I'm positive about, if there's one thing that I see an improvement on up to this point, it's the ability to run, to move runners in scoring position. They're still kind of laboring a little bit with runners on base, leaving them, but when they get them in scoring position, they are batting 286. Contrast that or context that to 214 in the postseason last year and to 261 all of last season. If you're not batting 270 or above with runners in scoring position, I don't think you're a Major League Baseball team. I really don't. I think you're like some sort of minor league team. But right now, heading into today's game, they were batting 286. They've left 6.8 runners on base a game, so that's a little bit high. It's close to 7 a game. They're leaving their opponents on base about 6.5 a game, so that's pretty good. They scored 172 runs heading into this today for close to 5 runs a game, and that's, to me, that's the average you want to be at, 5 or better. You got to be at 5 or better, and they're closing in on that. And they've given up 132 runs, which is less than 4. So, again, the numbers are there. The proof is in that pudding. It has been an amazing start to this season, and that I'm very impressed with on certain aspects of this team, but I am concerned with other aspects, and I mentioned a few of them. So, you guys are killing me tonight. I was going to say Jose, when he's feeling it, is awesome, shows some fire on the mound. I think Jose could do it. If you took him aside and said, you know what, you're it. You're the closer. We're not going to use you in any role. You're my 9th inning guy. You may be my 2 out in the 8th inning, or maybe sometimes you're my 1 out in the 8th inning into the 9th inning guy. But you're it. You're the closer. I think you'd be surprised at what Jose can do. I really do. I think this closer by committee, if you really are looking at the pitchers that affects, that it hurts the most, in my opinion, it's Kirkering for the fact that he's so young, that he's looking for some structure. And I think it's Jose Alvarado, who's been looking for structure his entire career. So I think it's hurting them two the most. I honestly do. And if you would, and I'm telling you, I think we have the closer here. It's just a matter of giving it to them. I really do. Marshawn says, Matty, you're far better on the mic than on the chat. As the kids would say, I wasn't familiar with your game. Well, and that's what I'm saying, Marshawn. You got to understand, man, this is a business, right? It's a shtick. Listen, I'm crazy, man. I'll blow your mind with some of my takes. Don't worry about that. I mean, that's not going to be an issue. Trust me. I have a burning hatred for Howie Roseman that provides me warmth in the wintertime. So please don't give me too much credit, brother. Thank you for the compliment, but don't give me too much credit. But yeah. Fred Durns, what's up, bro? Haven't seen you in years. You still. That's what I'm talking about, man. Where did that guy come from? How much? Oh yeah, Fred Durns. That's it, man. Yeah, I wish I was Fred Durns, man. That's the kind of money I'd have. How much of that running scoring position is Bohm? He's killing it, if there are no. Bohm's been killing it. Listen, the Phillies in general, I've noticed a lot of times have been able to pick up them runners, and it's been coming from all aspects of the lineup. Bohm has definitely been the highlight. I mean, Bohm's the most consistent hitter we got right now, and that's why he's batting 4th. But I've been liking the way everyone's getting picked up, honestly. I really have been. And 286, I'm going to frame that, man. I'm going to take a little picture with my little phone camera there, my flip-up thing, and I'm going to frame it, man, because I don't know if I'm ever going to see 286 again. I really don't. It's so... I sleep at night. It's May, and I'm sleeping at night. Last May, they were batting like 220, and I was like bounding my head against the wall. So it's been awesome. It has been awesome. Pat Bernard says, oh, Matty, what's up, man? Patrick. Why is the team different than last year's? Phil Stifle. Who's Phil? Is it Phil Stifle or Phil Stiffle or Phil Stife, Swanee, Swanson, Samsonite? Who is this guy? Anyway, Phil, why do I think the Phillies are a different team than last year's? Great question. Oh, man, that's a great question. If you want to go with some of the more traditional Phillies fans out there, it's because of the WBC. right? The World Baseball Classic slowed down the Phillies' development. It slowed down Trey Turner's acclimation to Philadelphia. It took Kyle Schwarber out of the net. It prevented JT Realmuto from finding his groove. It was the WBC, Phil. Don't you remember this? I mean, it was a popular narrative for about, 9 months of why the Phillies struggled out of the gates last year. I don't believe that, honestly. These guys are Major League Baseball players. They were getting reps. Trey was knocking the cover off the ball. The Phillies had some inconsistencies in their starting rotation last year, too. I mean, if you recall, we started the season with Nola, Wheeler, Walker was our 3. Then we had Bailey Falter and Matt Strahm, right? Because we had Suarez, who was injured, and we had who else was Suarez? No, wait, Walker was out too. Yeah, Walker was out too. So we had Nola, Wheeler. I know Falter and Strahm were in the back end. Maybe it was Suarez. Suarez started, and then Walker. Now I'm all confused. I know we had some inconsistencies in the back end of that rotation. We had some people down. Suarez was down. Ty Walker was down. And we just had some inconsistencies there. And it took the Phillies almost a half a season to kind of work those inconsistencies out. And also, if you recall, when we got Walker and Suarez back, we still had that hole in that 5th spot. We ended up trading Bailey Falter, right, to Pittsburgh for Castro, who's now languishing in AAA. And we really didn't replace him until Chris Sanchez showed up in late July and really locked down that back end of that rotation. And for all you Chris Sanchez haters out there, he did. He locked it down and really kind of provided that stability at that back end. And it took the Phillies, I think, honestly, because of that rotational issue, it took them a while to kind of figure themselves out. And they weren't hitting small ball last year. They weren't a very disciplined at the plate team last year. They were what we saw them in the NLCS, swinging for the fences. And I don't know if it was a change of philosophy in the spring. Maybe, K-Long or K-Dog, or the hell he called his hitting coach down there, if he actually worked on that, like he said he did. They got healthier in the rotation. They came up north with a better, I think Turnbull was, obviously a diamond in the rough that they picked off the Detroit Tigers scrap heap and has really provided a linchpin to that rotation. So I think, honestly, Phil, if you're asking me, it comes down to how the starting pitching started last season versus this season. That has been a solid building block for this team all year long. Last year, instead of coming out of the gate strong, starting pitching kind of clunked out of the gate. Again, Bailey Falter and Matt Strahm were one point in the back end of our rotation, and obviously that took away from the bullpen. And then, it has a chain reaction there. So I think it was the pitching. Honestly, I think it's been the pitching that has been the biggest difference. And I think also to go along with it is the change of approach at the plate. So I hope that answered your question. Was it Phil? Is that who it is who asked me that question? Did I watch Maury's presser today? I got to be honest. I didn't feel confident he gets it done. He said a lot of and right, Darshan? It's interesting because everybody on this channel here castrates me on a daily basis for my hatred of Howie Roseman and how I think this guy is running the Eagles into the ground. Well, what the hell is Daryl Morey's doing the same thing to the Sixers, but apparently he gets a pass by some people. But when you attack Daryl Morey, it's justified. Like, it's not justified to attack Howie Roseman, but it is justified to attack Daryl Morey. I get it, some people's going to throw me the Super Bowl in my face 7 years later. I understand that, but I mean, it's such a goddamn hypocritical point of view of some people in this town that they're going to go, it's okay to attack Daryl Morey, but it's not okay to attack Howie Roseman. But as far as getting back off my rant, I honestly think that Daryl Morey, I think Daryl Morey is clueless. And I think Daryl Morey is just another symptom to the bigger problem. And I hate to say this because I hated him when he was here. God, where the hell happened? Sam Hinkie, where have you gone, man? If Sam Hinkie was still here, I think we got at least 1, maybe 2 rings out of this deal. I think, honestly, it all went to shit when they got rid of Hinkie, when the NBA got rid of him. And it's been the GM, failed vice president of player operations, whoever, later, the process worked, everybody, right? The process worked. It was just the people that were pulling the strings in the process made the wrong picks. I was on, what's the guy's name? Phil? No, not Phil. Is Phil on the trending show? Is that him? Is it Phil the guy with the beard? I think I made a comment on that show a few days ago, right? I said something to the effect of all this hate towards Brunson, DiVincenzo, Hart, all that hate that's going towards them. Oh, Villanova, you're traitors. Well, when the hell they're traitors? They ain't traitors. And first of all, they're not traitors. Second of all, they all could have been Sixers. And then you throw Mikal Bridges into that mix. He could have been a Sixer. We could have had them. But the people that were clinking and clunking around through the process, making these horrible decisions with player personnel, making these horrible draft picks, created this mess. Listen, I was smiling when the Sixers were going down in flames because I was looking at a team like the New York Knicks who have been god-awful for 25 years, right? They signed Jalen Brunson for cheap. I mean, they got that guy off, for nothing. That dude might be the MVP of the playoffs when it's all said and done with. Right? He's probably going to be a league MVP before it's all said and done with. Right? They picked up Dante DiVincenzo. What's he on, his fourth team? Josh Hart's on his third team. Sixers could have had all of them. Right? Brunson was a free agent. The other two were free agents. They had Bridges. They actually drafted the guy. So I think it's hilarious. It's the chickens coming back to roost, man. That's all it is. So I think the hate that's being thrown out at the Knicks is jealousy, man. It's jealousy from Sixer fans knowing that could have been us. So if you search your feelings, you know it be true. I hope that answered your question, Marshawn. Did that answer your question? But Morris pressure, no, and I didn't feel any confident that he's going to fix it. I did not. I'm actually really concerned. Really concerned. And then of the four players that are left from the purge, it's Embiid, Maxey, not Covington, Council, and Paul Reed. How's Paul Reed still here? How's Paul Reed still have a contract? But they're the four players we're gonna rebuild this around. And I don't know, man. All this LeBron talk, that scares the living crap out of me. This KD talk scares the living crap out of me. All that stuff scares me. Because this is it, man. This is the final friggin' nail in the coffin, right? This is it. There's no going back after this. This is it's all or nothing right now with this year. If they don't do it right this offseason, it's done. And that's over. Then you really got to start looking at getting away from Embiid while you still can. But this is it. And Daryl Morey, his entire career rides on this one offseason. And you know what? I've gone to bed with happier thoughts. I really have. So I hope that answers your question, Marshawn. Marshawn says Phil Stiffy. Is that what you guys call him? Stiffy? Why? Can anybody tell me why you call him that? Because I'd like to know. Is it the hitting coach? It might be. Yeah, as I said, it might be a combination of the hitting coach, but I think honestly it's the rotation. I really do. Do you agree that the Philly landscape sucks? Eagles go from 10-1 and choke their season away. Flyers fell off against the bottom feeder. Sixers can't do anything because of the catch-22. Then beat Philly is saving the grace until now. Damn, Pat. Philly landscape sucks. Now, Philly landscape does not suck, Pat. The Philly landscape is the Philly landscape. If it was easy, everybody would be a Philadelphia fan. If it was easy, everybody would do it. That's why when it finally does happen and somebody does get it right and we do celebrate, we sip champagne from insert trophy here, it feels so much better because we languish and we labor and we bang our heads against the wall and we go crazy because of this, that, and the other thing, that when somebody finally does it, it's that much sweeter and we become completely obnoxious about it to where we can't even stand ourselves. So would I say the Philly landscape sucks? No. The Philly landscape does not suck. Some of the people in the Philly landscape suck, but the Philly sports landscape does not suck. And hopefully with each off season, with each end of season, hope springs eternal, right? Eagles schedule drop here in a couple days, right? We're gonna turn the page of 2024. Anybody out there think they're going to win a Super Bowl? I don't. I think they're going back to the playoffs, and I think they're going to be done. but we're going to get this thing rolling again. We're going to get the overhypeness started, right? And then maybe they do capture lightning in the bottle. But I don't want lightning in the bottle, Pat. And I know you don't either. You want the Kansas City Chiefs. You want the Eagles to be the Chiefs. You want a dynasty. You want the Flyers to win another Stanley Cup before they lose all representation on that Stanley Cup, that they're about to lose one of the plaques. One of the plates are coming off this summer. The other one's coming off next summer. Pat, you want to make sure that the Flyers have that constant reminder of greatness on the Stanley Cup. And you're concerned because now it's about to become real, right? You want the Sixers to be a repeat champion because of what we went through and what we had in Joel Embiid, and we don't want to be left with being that fan base or being that team that wasted maybe one of the greatest centers that ever played the game. I don't think that he's one of the greatest that ever played the game, but he was an immense talent, and we didn't do the right thing by putting the right people around him at the right time. Do you know we've actually had the right people around Joel Embiid here? They just came at different times, right? J.J. Redick would have been awesome. Can you imagine a team that was like this? J.J. Redick, Joel Embiid, Maxey, Butler, and who you want to throw in at that wing spot? Hell, I'll even give you, and then Mikal Bridges that we didn't trade away. You know, we actually had that championship team here. We just couldn't get them together at the same time. We've been dinking and dunking pieces of them here or there. This guy's coming in this year, he's gone. This guy's coming 2 years from now, he's gone. We've actually gotten it right. We just haven't gotten it right at the same time. And that's what frustrates you, Pat. That's what frustrates you, because you see better. You see greatness. You see it's right there, but we can't get it. That's what frustrates you. And then the Phillies, especially the last 2 seasons, right there. It was right there for us to take. You know, when we went up 2-1 in 22, I thought, man, dude, it's over. We just blew out the Astros. We're up 2-1. We're taking this thing home, man. We're going to win the freaking World Series. And then since then, it's been, then they lost it. They got back last year. They plowed through the Marlins. They plowed through the Braves. They had a fucking buzzsaw in the Arizona Diamondbacks. I mean, it hurts, man. It hurts. But it makes the drink even sweeter at the end when they finally do get it. So I'm not sitting here telling you that I don't think the Philly landscape sucks at all. I think some of the people in it suck. But I wouldn't have it any other way. It's what makes us Philadelphia sports fans. It really does. Man, we're a bunch of sadomasochists, man. Woo! Darryl said you need good players to win. You can't make it up. No, he did. And he said that everybody, Marshawn, all their impending free agents, all their free agents are going to be, they haven't given up or they've made final decisions on anybody. Please, God, let's hope that's just, press talk speak, right? Is anyone going to be able to survive a Tobias Harris re-signing? Is anybody, are people going to turn in their season tickets and burn down the Wells Fargo Center if they re-sign Tobias Harris? I would love to see that. I would love to see the reaction to that. Hinkie would have traded Ben Simmons after his rookie year. Absolutely. And that would have been the best move, right? Darryl said Paul Reed's name and I turned it off. Yep, he's part of the future, Marshawn. Paul Reed's coming back. Now, I hope to God he's not backing off. He can't. He can't, can he? Can Daryl Morey actually do that? Could Daryl Morey make Paul Reed, Joel Embiid's primary backup next season? Is that something that could happen? Please? Somebody tell me no. What's up, Matt? What's going on, Mike? They are. Phillies are on. They're red hot. If the Eagles and Phillies won in 22, we would be on obnoxious. I would be the worst person online. And that's fine. And that's what we want, though, Marshawn. Because as a sports fan base, we are still the worst people online. It's just that we don't have the cash to back it up. So it really hurts us, right? We really got to go over and beyond because we got to back up what we don't have. So, but yeah, no, it's a great thing. So let's talk a little bit about the Flyers because I'm running out of time. I've been on for almost an hour, and I want to make sure you guys are able to check out the next show coming up here, which is Party on Broad, I believe, tonight. Here it is. Here's the lineup. Yes, Party on Broad at 9, and then the Fightins final, which actually already happened because the game was at 4, and then all the stuff we have coming up here on the network this week. Make sure you're looking for it. Make sure you're checking it out. Make sure you're liking and subscribing all the shows and all the people here on EOP, even me. That's right, because I need love too, but I really don't. But So the Flyers. Danny B made a comment. He had his. I don't know if I don't even remember if I talked about this last week. I think I might have touched on it. But Danny B basically in his exit presser last week said, if you liked year one of the rebuild, well, get ready because year two is pretty much going to be the same thing, right? We're not going to be big players on the free agent market because we don't have the money yet. So we're not doing that. We are going to be active in the trade market. We're going to be taking calls, maybe making some moves. We're going to sign some lesser free agents, like we did last year, and we're going to rely on the NHL draft. Now, the NHL draft, which is coming up on June 28th and June 29th, and remember, here on the Edge of Philly Sports, we got you covered for the first round of said NHL draft. Myself and other members of the Clear the Ice crew will take you through round one from Las Vegas. Now, we're not going to be in Vegas. God forbid Al pays us to go to Vegas, but we're not going to go to Vegas. We'll do it here from the studio or from where we do our usual shows from. But we're going to take you through round one and take it and show you who might be a Flyer this season. Now, tomorrow night at 6:30, the NHL is going to hold their draft lottery, and they're going to and we'll know pretty damn sure where the Flyers are going to pick at least one of their draft picks. The Flyers do have 2 first-round picks this year. Their own, which right now the Flyers would grade out as a number 12, right, where they finished the season. And they own the Florida Panthers first-round pick. But by the way they're going, might be a 30th pick. They might be the Stanley Cup champions. So we're going to have 2 first-round picks. And tomorrow night at 6:30 on ESPN, the NHL will hold its draft lottery to find out where the Flyers could potentially fall in this. I believe they could move up as far as 2. They have a 0% chance of getting 1, but they could move up as far as 2. I think the biggest chance they have, or the biggest jump they have, is going from 12 to 9, which is, I'll take that. And a lot of people are asking, well, who's there at 9? What are some of the names to be looking for this year in the draft? We've been dropping draft cards all over the network. Obviously, the big names, Macklin Celebrini. He is not going to be around at 9 or 12 or 2. He's the consensus number 1. San Jose, who should be picking number 1, is going to scoop this kid up in a heartbeat. They comped him to a kind of a Jeff Carter type player. He's a lot faster than Carter, and he's a little bit more compact than Carter, but he's got the same sniper. He's got the same intensity. I don't like personally Celebrini's game. I think it's too much of a perimeter game. I don't know if that's because of the style they were teaching him how to play in Boston University, in the NCAA. I'm concerned about Celebrini's ability in front of the net, but I'd still take him in a heartbeat. A couple years ago, when Connor Bednard was all the rage, I was watching the World Juniors, and they were teammates on Canada. And Celebrini, even though Connor was tearing it apart, Celebrini was close, right behind him, and it was making just as much of an impact as Connor was. And Celebrini will and should be the first overall pick. Then there's a couple of other players that are kind of falling into this. It's really going to be where and who is picking where, of where some of these other players might go. And then a lot of people are wondering, well, where are the Flyers? Who should the Flyers be drafting? And and where are they going to be? Again, it's kind of hard for me to sit here and tell you who I think the Flyers are going to pick because of where they're going to. I don't know where they're going to be drafting, but some of the front-running names, if the Flyers could potentially be higher up, are as follows: Cole Yzerman, he's a left winger. He's 17-year-old. He'll be 18 this summer. Go ahead and look him up online. Look up some of his plays. Plays with looks like a young cross between Danny Briere and Martin St. Louis. This kid is quick. He's an American player. This kid's got it all. But he's 17 and he's already committed, I believe, to Northwestern or somewhere. He's going to college next year, so he's not going to be day one NHL. Then there's Ivan Demidov, which is a player who plays in the SKA in St. Petersburg in the KHL. Okay, well, we already had that issue with Russian players right now. I don't know if the Flyers should go after him, but this kid is also the real deal. He's a right winger. He's kind of like a Michkov, that type of breed of a player. But again, he's in the KHL. What are the geopolitical ramifications of taking a guy there? Sam Dickinson. I've been watching him all season long because he plays for the London Knights of the OHL, and that happens to be where Oliver Bonk and Denver Berkey play for the Flyers prospects. They all play for the London Knights. So I've been watching a lot of Sam Dickinson. He is the prototypical 21st century offensive defenseman. Again, look this kid up online, fast hands, a nose for the net, very quick on his feet, very quick directionally, nose for the net, everything you want out of young defenseman. He's a little undersized, but again, if he's there at 9 or 12, and I know I told you that I don't think the Flyers should pick defense because I like what we got, but this is one of those best player available type scenarios for the Flyers. You take Sam Dickinson if he's there. You take him. You take him. You take him. You take him. Another player, if he's there, is Berkeley Catton, the center from the Spokane Chiefs of the WHL. That's the number one center I'm talking about. He is that guy. He's going to be that guy. Will not be there at 9. He won't be there at 12. But if he is, the Flyers need to go ahead and pick him. And then the player that is most intriguing to me, the player that I think the Flyers would be, could be there at 9, could be there at 12. The guy that coming from NHL Hall of Fame pedigree, and that would be Mr. Tidge Igilna. Yeah, he's a center for the Calgary Hitmen. He plays with the same chip that his father played with. He's big, but he's fast. Is he a 1 center? No. Is he a 2? Yeah, maybe. Is he raw? Absolutely. But he's top 10 talent right now in this draft. But he could fall. He could fall to 12, or he could be available around that 9 and 10 plateau. So that's another player that I would love if he's available for the Flyers to jump on. So we'll wait and see. Again, make sure you're tuning in June 28th, round 1 of the 2024 NHL draft from Las Vegas. We will be covering it here on the Clear the Ice program, the Flyers, official Flyers postgame show here on the Edge of Philly Sports. And we're looking forward to that. And then later, we're going to be covering the MLB draft as well. Eagles will go to the Super Bowl. Well, we all going together on a bus trip? I could go to the Super Bowl. That's tell me they're going to play in it. Go Phillies! I'm going to invent in a broom company. I'm going to invest in a broom company. Dave, man, I love your enthusiasm. Dave's already ready for the party on Broad Street in May. I hope he's right, and I just hope we're not peaking at the wrong time. I really don't. So, I don't know. I think I've covered pretty much everything I needed to cover tonight. Let's head back to some of these ad reads. Thank you for everybody for chiming in tonight. It's been really good. Don't forget all the great things, the great sponsors here on the Edge of Philly Sports. Oh, by the way, make sure tomorrow you're ready for the Fightins final because the Phillies are back at it tomorrow, a 2-game set against the Blue Jays. Pat from Amblers got you tomorrow, and then I got you on Wednesday. So we'll wrap up the two little mini, the 6-game homestand, a little mini 2-game set with the Blue Jays. And then don't forget and circle this date on your calendar, May 25th, for the Dolan's Wiffle Ball Mania with Mickey Morandini and John Kruk. Bring the family, right? Bring the family down to Dolan's because I think it's going to be fun, and I know you're going to have a good time because I might be there, and I brighten any place. That's right. So make sure you're heading down to Dolan's, and you don't have to wait for this day. Go any day because Dolan's is a great place to hang out. You never know who might fall through the front door. And I believe I did the other two, and that should really do it for me. Oh, wow, look at that. I had reads complete, Al. Get off my back. And again, here's our lineup for the week, just in case you missed it. Make sure tomorrow morning you're tuning in for Trending in the AM with Phil. And then he's got his Stairway to Heaven show tomorrow as well. Stuff that remains on tonight. Party on Broad right now. The tomorrow is Fairway to Heaven. Kelly Green Hour, Birds at the Round Table. Chalk Talk, and then some Fightins final. So, folks, it's been an honor, a privilege, a pleasure. I'm tickled pink to be back. And once again, to kick off your Philadelphia Sports Week. Until we talk again next week, what do they say? Oh, yeah, that is the news, and I'm out of here.